Hello. Okay. Looks like we're up and running. Just want to make sure that it's actually working properly. Maybe we can take Rosie out of the room. Okay, concurrent viewers is 1. Welcome. Type into the chat anything so I know that you can hear me and see me okay. I'm going to wait to actually start the explanation and the piece playthroughs until maybe 1:05, just in case anyone comes in a little late. Oh, looks like we have 4 viewers now. Anybody in the chat? I'm not sure why I can't see it. Okay, Mariam's here and Drew, that's great. I still can't see the chat, unfortunately. Give me 1 tiny second to see if I can actually view that. Okay, looks and sounds great. Excellent. Yeah, I'm not able to see your chat things unless I move over to the other computer over here, but I can totally do that. If you have any questions about the performance, definitely stick around for the after concert talk, which is just going to be like a Q&A with Drew and I. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm still going to wait another few minutes. It is 1:02, just in case anyone comes in a little late. That way they can hear about the piece, learn a little bit about it, and then be able to follow along with the 3 playthroughs. So give me just a few minutes here. Okay, we got 7 people on now. That's fantastic. I'm not sure how much of a delay there is, but it should still sound okay. We're going to wait until 1:05.
It's Ellie.
Oh, Ellie's here. That is lovely. Thanks for coming in, Ellie. Just so everybody knows, last time we didn't really have a way for people to follow along very well with the score. This time we have an easy way for that to happen. I'm just going to talk about that now. The video description has a link to the 3 different playthroughs I'll be doing today. If you click on that link, you'll be taken immediately to the first playthrough. I'll be clear about which one I'm starting as I go through for any late people. And then if you click right on that photo, just scroll through the album, you'll see the second version of it, and then the third. The third is the only one that uses 5 cards instead of 4. And I can explain what the different symbols on the cards mean to you just before I start, which I think should probably be right now. Or at least in just a minute. Okay. It is 1:05. I am going to officially start Welcome everyone to the second live stream performance of LUDO, which is the new graphic score written for me by the great, excellent composer and even better friend, Drew Corey. LUDO is a Latin word which means game. It can also translate to I play. It is a very game-like piece. The actual music is very unusual looking, especially for people who are not used to graphic scores. You might be wondering, well, how on earth do I actually play this? It's just a bunch of symbols and lines. Each one of these symbols and lines and shapes and patterns corresponds to a specific piano technique. For example, a straight line like this, or not a straight line, but a diagonal line like this, refers to scalar motion, that is, playing a scale. In this case, it would be rising. If I see one that looks like this, a wiggly line, that also refers to a scale motion, but one that is heavily ornamented. And ornamentation means lots of trills, lots of repeated notes, lots of tremolos, stuff that creates a sort of wilder texture. There are a number of different techniques that are listed, 8 in total: scalar motion, heavily ornamented scalar motion, arpeggiated motion, heavily ornamented arpeggiated motion. An arpeggio is basically a scale but with a number of skips in it. There's a certain symbol for an ornamentation just by itself, kind of a standalone little pop, although it doesn't have to be little, of course. There's yet another marking that refers to static motion, stillness. It doesn't literally have to refer to stillness as in I don't play anything or I only play one note. It's open to interpretation, and I'll talk a little bit more about it as we go. There's also heavily ornamented static motion, just like there's heavily ornamented scalar motion and arpeggio motion. And finally, the last type is a cloud, which looks like a number of little dots. A cloud can mean a lot of different things. So there are only 3 real rules for me in playing this piece, because even though I have the 8 different types of symbols, which is kind of one of the, I would call it the first rule, is that I have to adhere to the meaning of each of the 8 symbols in my interpretation of the piece. Those interpretations can be highly, highly varied and highly unpredictable. For example, saying play a scale can mean a lot of different things. Saying to play something like heavily ornamented arpeggios, it's a little bit more specific than a scale, perhaps, but again, it can refer to a lot of different things. I could literally make it sound like anything as long as it was what I felt was a heavily ornamented arpeggio type of motion on the piano, or whatever it is that I'm actually playing in the given card. The other 2 rules have to do with the temporal and spatial content of each card, the time that it takes me to move through a given card, and the range of the piano that I use once I begin a given card, whether it goes from the very, very bottom of the piano to the very, very top, or just a very small range. Those rules are very simple to understand. Once I begin playing one of the cards, I have to make sure that 2 things remain consistent throughout from the beginning of the card to the end. One is the time it takes me to move through it. For example, if I play through this section of the card in 20 seconds, then the approximate same amount of space will take another 20 seconds, and this will take another 20 seconds. If playing from here to here only takes 5 seconds, then the whole card will be about 10 seconds long. It could be that this will take me several minutes, and then this card will be very long. That's a little bit less common, but it can happen. The other thing is the spatial content has to remain consistent. If this really high symbol is only in the middle range of the piano, maybe let's say around the middle C, then this one over here, which is only barely higher, will only be just above the middle C. Meanwhile, I can go as far as I want to down here on the piano, as long as the piano allows me to, However, if this note here is only as low as the next C below the middle C, then everything here will be basically within that same octave. So once I begin a card, I make a decision on the fly to decide how long it will take me to get through the card and how much space I'm going to take up on the piano once I begin. Thus, the piece's length and feel, sound, ideas, moments, and everything are always really highly variable. I could play this same first score for you that you're going to follow along with in just a minute a number of different times. I could make it sound similar as one of the other playthroughs if I wanted to, but it could sound easily like an entirely different piece. So, without further ado, I'd like to begin. I'm going to do 3 playthroughs. You can access them on the link in the video description. If you click on the Facebook link there, you'll see that there are 3 pictures, one for each of the 3 playthroughs I'm about to do of LUDO. I wanted to also mention, just really briefly, we can talk about this a little bit more in the post-concert chat. The link for that is also in the YouTube description, which you should totally join us for. That what's really amazing about this piece isn't just that Drew wrote this graphic score with these incredibly beautifully designed images and symbols, but the goal was to write a graphic score that was meant to be compatible specifically and especially with my own style of piano composition. And as such, Drew really studied my music, and we identified in a collaborative effort all of the really broad, common types of motion and technique that I employ in my compositions already. And so that is where the 8 different symbols really come from. Again, if you have any questions about this, please talk to us afterwards. I'm going to move the computer now so that you can watch my hands on the keyboard. Let's just make sure that it's at a pretty good angle here. I'm going to wait just a second for the video to catch up. Okay, that seems pretty good. I'm going to move this just a little bit this way, and that seems good for now. This is LUDO Concert Number 2, Playthrough Number 1. That was playthrough number 1. For those of you who are just joining in, this is going to be the second picture in the link to the Facebook images in the video description. If you'd like to know more about the different symbols that you're following along with, or have any questions at all about the process of playing this really, really fascinating piece, please join us afterwards in the Zoom link that's on the video description. So, this is LUDO by Drew Corey, playthrough number 2. That was playthrough number 2. I hope you guys are enjoying this fun piece as much as I am. There really is truly an element of play. The name LUDO refers to play. It is the Latin word for game. There really is a dramatic element of a radical element, I would even say, of play for me in doing this piece. It's as unpredictable for me, although I know what each of the different symbols mean. it can be as unpredictable for me as it is for you listening. So, for those who are just joining, this is the third playthrough, the third and final for today. If you click on the Facebook link in the video description, it'll take you to a picture, the first of which is 4 cards. If you click on the next one, there's another 4-card photo. And then the third has 5 cards lined up. That 5-card photo is what I'm about to be playing. So see if you can follow along. And following this iteration, I'll be joining the Zoom call with the composer Drew. And we'd love to see you there and hear your questions and thoughts. So this is LUDO number 3. Thank you so much for joining me for these 3 playthroughs of Ludo. I think we're going to move now to the Zoom chat. So please join us there. Drew and I would love to talk to you about the score and hear your thoughts and comments on it. Thank you so much for listening.